Hi, welcome to John's Detecting Adventures. Here I am now with my friend Michael Jackson on something completely different. Thinking Better for Business event. Now, Michael's going to explain this.
Well, we're at Crawford down the road in Burnley, and this is my real job. When I'm not out detecting with John on John's Detecting Adventures, I actually speak at conferences around the world. So this morning we ran a showcase at Crawford, that beautiful hotel in Burnley, and we had about 100 of their clients come down and watch me do a talk on thinking better business, as John says.
Focus on a secure employment.
Hello from me, first of all, thank you all for coming down. My name is Michael Jackson. I'm privileged to be a business speaker around the world. I've been a strategist in marketing and communications prior to being a speaker. I've been privileged to do over 3,000 events now in some 46 countries around the world. And this is the first on my doorstep. I've recently moved back to England. It's a joy to be at Crawford and on my local doorstep. So I know many of you are local as well, and I think that's fantastic. I think the furthest flung traveller is Andy Preston from Stockport. Well done for driving in from there this morning and making it happen. Andy Preston from Stockport in Burnley. That sounds really good. As I say, I've done quite a few events. I'm going to be assisted today with my colleague Bev Hancock, who's kind of put this into perspective for whether you're a small, medium, or even an enterprise-sized business. There should be something in here for you. I hope that you can take away and use as we start moving into the year that lies ahead. And really thinking better business, a journey into the immediate future, was what I wanted to kick off and start talking about overall. And I'm going to talk a little bit first from a global perspective, but then drill it right down to our local needs and our local thoughts. And I think it's fair to say, with whatever's going on around the planet, in a polite way, very powerful shifts are taking place at the moment. To the point where the way that we engage in markets, the who, the what, the where, the how, with who we engage, is all very, very different today from what it used to be for previous generations of business people. And what we need to be is aware of that in a way that we can start thinking about the trends that are coming and shape our businesses into that right area of operation that hits the sweet spot, if you will. But economics, politics, and resources, those big issues will still dominate the news as we roll through next year as well. And whilst we're aware of that, we've got to start thinking about the way that in our business, because of those bigger issues, societal mindsets and behaviours are changing now in a way that we need to adjust and start thinking about shaping the strategies and business plans that we have that more deals with what's going on at a societal level. And we need to engage very differently to the ways that we have previously. You know, it is fair to say there's a storm of transformation, but we find ourselves in the middle of that storm. And I think that what we've got to realise, because of the change that's taking place around the world right now, old-fashioned businesses aren't going to crack it into the new era. And when I talk about old-fashioned businesses, I'm going to give you a sense of that as we unpack this presentation, as to how you would define yourself in terms of being a business overall. You know, we're looking at value, and you're thinking about Joanne talking about value a moment ago here at Crawford, but when you think about value, today, value in the marketplace is being measured by how much you can grow. Not by what it is that you offer or what you do. Those things have almost come to a stage of being a given. How fast can you grow? The culture that you and your business have, you heard about the family culture here today that runs this operation, but the culture of business is driving what we would shape in terms of meaningful transformation right now. And I think a clearly defined purpose, what your business is all about, almost getting back into the core of your very DNA. Why your business began, what was in there that made it special at that time. We're finding an awful lot of winning businesses have gone back in and polished up their DNA and started thinking about a definitive purpose that they can lay down that says, this is why we're here. This is what we stand for. This is what we're going to be in terms of this world of very complex adaptability. And I call it complex adaptability because the patterns are shifting massively, and they'll need to be understood at a very significant level. That's what I'm going to try and unpack for you here today. What's worrying you the most in your business world right now? Let me ask you that question, because that'll help me shape the answers to where we go with this presentation this morning for you. I see we've got about 15, 16 answers coming in. I'll unveil these answers for you in a moment. What Bev and I tend to do when we work like this is use this interactive technology because it means we can get closer to you, and rather than someone standing on stage and just preaching at you, which would be pointless really, let's rather shape our conversation and hold it together in ways that we can drive it. So we've got about 18 answers, and I'm sure more of you can do that. The QR code's up there for you. I'll reveal the answers for you in a few moments from now. We've been through this year of turmoil of 2024. We've got a new government here, let alone the one that's coming into the States. We've got all sorts of things happening. That dreadful budget just came out. So let's reveal some of those answers, Bev, if we may, and let's take a look at those. Staff and costs. The bigger the word in the word cloud that we're revealing to you here from your answers, the bigger the word, the more it's being used by more people. And what we can do is the hotel can make these results available to you as well, post the presentation, if you'd like to go through them. But staff retention, climate, staff costs, the budgets, growth and confidence. Now these are kind of fairly concerned statements when you think about it overall. In the smaller term, a lack of confidence, the NI hike, skilled workers, a changing landscape, the economic climate, financial. Somebody's mentioned war, the pressure on you as a leader in business in your own time. But these things right now, time, culture, staff costs, sustainability, which we'll cover in this presentation this morning, those are big issues that are driving your storm of transformation right now. And so thank you. We'll leave these open as well. There are more questions coming a bit later. Just go back, Bev, if you will, to the prezzo for me for a minute. We'll try and shape that now in terms of where I can provide answers for you and give you some guidance if I'm able to do so this morning. The maze of transformation. And I think definitively your own answers, your own answers have given you that kind of focus as well. It's complicated out there, it's confusing. And I think as leaders in business, running your own business, driving a management position, being in business is more difficult now from a leadership point of view than it ever has been before. No previous business generations have ever had the raft of difficulties that we've got, that we're standing on in a bubbling ocean of turmoil right now. Making choices or taking business decisions has become more complicated than ever. The diversity of your own answers in that previous question, I guess, indicates that quite strongly. We've got forces that are changing, digital disruption. There's an awful lot going on with IT, with cyber security. Are you switching on to artificial intelligence? The climate, the environment, disruptive innovation, the skills shortages that are taking place at the moment. All of these, again, supply chain disruption, regulatory risk, and just the stuff that's going on at a geopolitical level, are all in a state of absolute turmoil. So this maze that we're trying to navigate now as we try and wander through and look to start off a new year in a really constructive and progressive way is very hard to do. I'm here though not just to tell you about the problems, but rather supply some of the solutions that I see from my work studying change around the globe. Innovation. If there are 4 keys to business fitness, this has got to be your first one. Your business is going to need to innovate in order to grow next year. You cannot do more of the same. And somebody a lot cleverer than me once said that. If you do exactly the same thing time after time but expect a different result, we all know the answer to that. We cannot do that, folks, in our business any longer. The world is innovating at such an incredible level right now. There are over 8 billion humans on the planet, more than ever before. But what's more important than that is there are over 115 million registered trading businesses competing for their attention right now. At a local level, at a global level, and what you need to be able to do is stand proud and start finding your niche within that really competitive marketplace. The strategies that you adopt or choose to plan for 2025 are going to need to be rapidly responsive. You cannot sit back now and just wait for the year to roll around. In fact, the timing of this at the end of the year, I hope, is going to be important to you at that level, and a kickstart for what it is that you need to do. If you don't know the answers to the innovation and how to shape your strategy right now, we need to start thinking about how much research you're doing. Because being close to your market is incredibly significant, more so than at any other time in business history. How much do you understand about the people that you're doing business with, as well as the people you've got inside your organization? Research is going to be an incredibly powerful thing that you need to do at a very continuous level. If you don't know the answers, you've got to go and look for them. And the fourth of these keys to future business fitness is about your product and your service differentials. What sets you apart? What makes you different? And maybe there's a hint of going back to that core of your DNA within that overall thought process. Because the difference that you set, your uniqueness, is more paramount now than it ever has been previously. We're also going to need to be future-proof as humans. And as much as technology and artificial intelligence is starting to shape the world, I'll moan about the bloody setbacks because that's all I've got to moan about, right? I'll prefer the known and the trusted. I'll do what I've always done. I don't want to listen to negative feedback. I'll just carry on with where I've come from. We've got to move out of that fixed mindset and beyond the growth mindset. I'm not just trying to set you up here on a motivational sense that says, get out there, come on, embrace the challenges. Try in the face of setbacks because you will experience them. Build yourself a new path to growth. If you have a growth mindset in the economy that we're about to move into right now, all you will do is bounce back from setbacks. I haven't mentioned the buzzword resilience, but let me throw that in for just a moment. When we think of how resilient we are as people, or how resilient our business is in terms of difficult circumstances, the general thinking, even in a growth mindset, says, let's try and bounce back. You're not going to be a winning business by looking to bounce back, because that implies that what's going to happen is you're going to get back to a status quo that you've previously enjoyed. I want you to think somewhat differently into a bounce forward mindset, not a bounce back mindset, where you're welcoming challenges. You go back and you think about it in your strategy and say, how the hell do we thrive in the face of setbacks? What is it that we need to do to build a new path to mastery? And you're getting that continuous feedback all the time from your market, from your employees, from what's going on around you, your collaborators, your supply chain, whatever it is that you're dealing with. We need to get a bounce forward mindset ready, because adversity will come in a large scale of things. But you know, when I look at business change, what I see about adversity is that there will still be winning businesses. And what they are doing, folks, is they're doing things differently. They're not letting the status quo or the set of circumstances around them dictate what happens. And that's what we need to do to get into a new thought process. I want you to focus on the possibilities of where your business can be, the presence that your business can have, and the purpose that it can offer its marketplace overall. To think more strategically, to work smarter, to embrace adaptability, and to think about adopting a much more responsive than just accepting mindset. What can we do that's different? If I wanted you to take away one thing from this talk, it would be this: the adoptive mindset from a responsibilities perspective. That we think about doing things differently. That you go back to your place of work and you refuse to accept the status quo. What can you change? What can you do now to help serve up your secret sauce to the market that could be waiting for it that's out there? Could be a new market. Could be an adapted market. Could be an old market that needs reminding of where you are as a base. Whatever markets you're looking to, I honestly believe, when we talked about thinking better business, that being adaptive to the circumstances in which we find ourselves right now is never anything you'll see on the front pages of our media here next year. But being adaptive is what we need. That means new ideas, new people, new behaviors to generate shared trust, shared vision, and shared growth. Are you ready for it? That's why I wanted to stand on the stage here at Crowwood this morning to ask you that question. Are you ready for the change that will come, whether we want it to come or not? Complexity AI is brilliant, but you should sign up and start to use ChatGPT. And it's in its infancy. It still is a toddler. It's getting better. It's how to build a business presentation. And somebody asked me if they could have it in French and German. And I didn't do terribly well in languages in school. But now I've used a thing called HeyGen. And with artificial lip sync, it creates your videos in 170 different languages simultaneously. And it's so good that when I sent the German one off to a German speaker, they came back and said the equivalent of, "This wunderbar, Vorsprung durch Technik." So it is advancement through engineering at some point. It's well worth looking at. Will it open up different markets for you? There's a very distinct possibility it will. When you convert videos on something like HeyGen, by the way, I think to pay for it, the first basic service is free, as most of these things are. Is it worth £28 a month to take your products, goods and services to different markets? It may well be at that kind of level. But, you know, change in its own right, and this blend really of chip with human, whilst change is constantly disruptive, what we're going to need to be to handle this change, to master true artificial intelligence, is we're going to need to be more human. We need to be conscious, we need to be creative, we need to champion collaboration, and we need to use it rather than be dominated by it in the right way. So don't be frightened of what's out there in terms of the way that technology is changing. Humans who manage it, who are adaptable, who are curious and confident enough to dive into it, will become the masters of it as it rolls out now. So we can get out there and win against it. In many ways, the talk basically this morning is about staying ahead by adapting fast. And I wanted to give you a quote from two guys who very rarely agree on anything, both of whom are in the news at a constant level for various reasons. But Zuckerberg and Musk, if they agree on very little, they said this 2 weeks ago. In a world that's changing quickly, the only strategy guaranteed to fail is the one that doesn't take risks. Now think about that for your own driving force for next year. The only strategy guaranteed to fail is the one that doesn't take risks. We need to take more risks now in this massively unfolding different world. And in many respects, that DNA that I've referred to a couple of times, the culture, your sense of purpose, all of it needs to be wrapped into what I would term your secret sauce. You've got a secret sauce within your business. And I'm not talking about a Nando's hot sauce, although they did build a big reputation on their hot sauces. But your secret sauce is really what is the key ingredients of what should set you apart. Are you aware of what your secret sauce is? Or do you need to go back in and rework it to a point that you've got to start looking through the recipe ingredients and maybe adding to it or detracting from it in certain ways that's ready for you to shape the new marketplaces that you're going to be tackling next year? The recipe for your secret sauce is going to be crucial. I'll unpack some winning ingredients of modern winning business secret sauces for you now, because they may give you a little bit of thought process about where we're going. On your secret sauce, what words describe your secret sauce right now? And we'll reveal the answers just in a moment or two again. But what 3 words would you use to describe your own secret sauce right now? What sets your business apart? You and your business. What's different? Just give me 3 words that we can help shape the balance of this talk for you this morning, because it will give me some guidance as well as remind all of us in the room what we're all kind of going through. Doesn't matter what those 3 words are, what's shaping your secret sauce right now? Okay, what are we looking at? Organic, connected knowledge, dedication, consistency, competency, courage, and character. I like that. Creative, forward-thinking, adaptable, experience, innovation, quality, passionate, creative, and adaptable, trust, results, and people. I love these answers. Family. Well, that might have been somebody from Crowwood. Was that you, Amanda, answering? No, it wasn't you shaking your head. Let's have a look at a few more. Breaking in those into what they're grouped as. So innovation is great, and I'm glad that you're thinking that way. Innovation, there we go. Innovation, experience are the big two dominant ones. Passion, quality, creativity, and service. I'm delighted that you're aware of these things. But just think, if these aren't your answers, what the rest of the people in the room are thinking with us right now. You see, this is the way we need to be in terms of shaping up our own business. Let's just think about those words for a moment. I've already talked about being innovative. Your experience will come to the fore, but I want you to shape it in different ways. We'll unpack that in a moment. Yeah, there's personality, small groups, trust, results, people. Let's just go back to the major grouping there, please, Beth. Good, I get that. Passion, quality, creativity, and service. See, only 3 responses on service. Service is going to be a massive part of your secrets. Let's go back and look at the rules of what modern winning businesses have done. We'll leave these open for you. You can answer them as we roll through. Let's just unpack some of the things that make winning businesses today different. And when I talk about winning businesses, if you look at any ranking of business anywhere in the world, from the Fortune 500 to the S&P, whatever you look at, the modern businesses of today, the ones that are shaped around the modern world, are the ones that are winning hands down. What's quite interesting for me is that if you look at something like the Fortune 500, the 500 biggest businesses in the world, and go back 10 years, or 20 years, or even 30 years, the Fortune 500 today, for this year, is entirely different in terms of its top 30 or 40 companies to those that have previously been heading up the top of the rankings. Business world has changed dramatically. So, winning businesses claim to differentiate relentlessly. What they're saying is their unique selling product, that secret sauce element, if you will, has got to be setting you apart, and you need to find a way to consciously emphasize it. Because in terms of your own business, if you're not beating your own drum, who do you expect to do that? In many instances, winning businesses today have their customers shouting about how good they are. So not only must you differentiate relentlessly, you've also, to build up your secret sauce ingredients, you've got to understand what makes you unique. And within that, develop innovative solutions to customer pain points. Your top 3 takeaways that you think will help you bounce forward and thrive. What is it that we can do that makes it different? Because I promise you this, we are going to have to be different. And this, again, the birthplace of industrialization. We're even beyond the technological era right now. We're into the creative era. The era where you as humans need to create and curate. My role on the planet is to help business people get into a better business state. And I'd love for you to come over and join me. And it's been a pleasure for me today being on stage with you this morning. Thank you very much indeed.